and even to make plans, it was a big decision of whether I wanted to have dinner, or whether if all of us could even meet at that place for dinner because of traffic. And that's why I think Angkas was such a solution that really made sense to me. So I just want to start quickly to talk about what, it's just a short presentation, but when I first came to this country, when we started Angkas, we faced a lot of regulatory issues. And mainly that's because, sorry, does the clicker work? Click. Trying to click. Alright, cool. So it's because of this, right? No matter how safe a service we were running, this is what the government and people had in mind when they thought about motorcycle transportation. And this is habal, and this is what you truly see in the province, right? This is Filipino discarding at its best. Because it's a win-win, right? I mean, the more people I can put on, the less I can charge them, but the more I make because more people can come on. But unfortunately, this is not very safe. Click. So as a result, this is the reason why we don't have a lot of, we have a lot of accidents, right? Because there's 3 rules in the Philippines that really should make it safe. One is you need to wear a helmet, and I click when I'm saying that. You need to make sure that you don't have any modifications on your bike. So this is a Skylab, click, where you have like a plank behind, so you can ride like a circus guy. You can only have 1 passenger at a time. I don't know whether animals count or not, but it should. So because of this, click, 53% of all road accidents in the Philippines involve motorcycles. And to be honest, with my experience and in the industry, if you look at it, the way we're riding it, it's us who are using motorcycles irresponsibly, not because of the people. It's not because of the motorcycle itself, right? And the reason being that this country only has 1 motorcycle school for 110 million Filipinos. Did you know that? Alright, and that is the reason why motorcycles are being used in this way, because they honestly don't know any better. Alright, we've trained over 100,000 bikers, and it's all for free. But we've only onboarded 30% of that because we believe in only having the best bikers on the platform. But we've seen that when you bother to take the time to train a biker, even if he doesn't pass, he walks away with knowledge that lets him drive safer on the roads. Alright, so all the kamote drivers you see in the streets, it's not because they want to be a kamote driver. It's because honestly, it's what makes sense to them, right? And I see an opening, I'm gonna go for it because there's space. But it's because they've not been educated, and that's something that we as a company, we want to do, which is our advocacy to teach safety to as many motorcycle drivers as possible. So next. So this is what we're trying to change. It's a service that's been around for 40 years in the country, right? And habal. We wanted to change it to this with technology. Next slide, and click, yeah. So we coined a term, professionalized motorcycle service, right? Because with Angkas and with a digital platform, you're now able to make sure that you accredit the drivers, right? So they go through training, they have to pass exams, written and physical exams, to make sure that they can really ride. And then they can, and with that, we can put them onto the platform with insurance. I'm sure everyone's very happy to hear that. With insurance and with training and with safety equipment that has been provided by the company. And as a customer now, you have fixed pricing. You don't have to haggle. So, I mean, habal. I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's raining, you get charged more. If you're good looking, you get charged less. If you're fat, you get charged a little bit more, unfortunately. So, it's a wild west out there. So with Angkas, you have fixed pricing and you know exactly what you're getting, right? Even before you get the ride, you know everything is safe. All right, next. And with this, it comes with all of the benefits, right, of testing. And we actually have a 99.997% safety record, which we're very proud of, because now with the training and with the system that we have a driver feedback system where, if your driver's a little bit smelly or if he's rude, you can give him 1 star and we'll call him up like, hey, sorry, you have a complaint from your customer. So there's 24/7 customer service as well to make sure that we keep the platform safe and comfortable for everyone. Next. Okay, and as Ramon mentioned, this also makes drivers happy because with the platform now they're able to earn consistently. They don't have to wait in a corner somewhere hoping not to be caught by the cops, you know, and things like that. And so to give you an example, on average, a Manila full-time biker makes about 1,500 pesos daily. All right, so this might be one of the reasons why you're losing your drivers. But yeah, it's a really big help for people. Even part-time, they make about 800 pesos a day. So it's really good to help to uplift the lives of their families as well. Next. Okay, so today we've trained over 100,000 bikers. We've onboarded about only 27,000, and over 3 million people have downloaded the app. For those who've not tried Angkas, please do. And yeah, please give me feedback on how it's been. So next. And with all the trials and tribulations we've been through, I'm very proud to say that we're working with the government on a 6-month pilot to show that this service can be run in a professional way. Motorcycles can be used in a responsible manner, and this is something that we can bring to our fellow countrymen here to give time and power back to the people with a service like Angkas. Right. So lastly, we are working very, very hard to turn this, next slide, into this. Thank you. I think you have to turn on the volume for the video.
Thank you, Angeline. For those of you who have stay out drivers and you give them motorcycles to go home, now you know why they are late sometimes. Our next speaker will talk about our favorite subject again. This is FinTech, and FinTech has a lot of verticals. One of them is InsurTech. Another one is real estate. So actually, it's the umbrella, but the industry is changing because of this startup trying to do a solution. InsurTech is not even about technology. It's about changing your business process so you can deliver a better customer experience. And do not be burdened or intimidated by technology. They will provide the solution for you. It's how you would change your company to make that happen. And there is a big association of fintech startups in the Philippines connected, and if you go to their website, you see a lot of them in all levels of delivery, and it's powered by FinTech Singapore. I noticed that. Now it is there in their website, right? So maybe there is collaboration, but definitely this is a solution we are looking for that will change the way we deliver services. And I'd like to invite their leader, the Executive Director of the FinTech Philippines, Ms. Amor Maclan. Amor.
Thank you so much. Very, very kind of you. When I first heard of when I first heard of the conference that's happening on InsurTech, and I reviewed the program and noticed that, wow, there were no insurance people speaking. I said, I think the industry is ready to finally tech up. So I wanted to walk you through a few slides very quickly to give you context, but I absolutely agree with Mr. Dimakali. I do not want you to get intimidated with technology because it's not about the tech. The tech is a mode for delivery of trust, right? Why do you go into blockchain? When I walked in, I heard that you guys were talking about blockchain. I'm one of the conveners of the early Blockchain Association of the Philippines, along with other players like Coins.ph, SEI, Union Bank. And know that it's not about the paperwork or the tech, it's about the trust, right? So how do we use technology to engender trust? Next slide, please. So maybe what I'll do is, who here has Netflix on their phones? Come on, there you go. Isn't it the most amazing app? Seriously, it's the, I've been telling people that I think it has disrupted many relationships, because I don't know about you, but I prefer to binge watch on Netflix than talk to my spouse at night, right? At least I'm honest.
Your spouse is here.
No, he made me say that. But I wanted to kind of explain to you three shows on Netflix that kind of explains what it is that I do personally. So how many of you here have seen Mad Men? Mad Men is all about the golden era of, or disreputable era of advertising in New York in the 1950s. And when they were trying to sell cigarettes as healthy. And the thing about Mad Men is that this is the one discipline that we need in the technology, especially in the InsurTech sector, mass adoption. Getting more people to take on the technology. Angkas, by its standards, at 3 million downloads, is probably one of the most successful apps here in the Philippines. But given the fact that we have 110 million Filipinos, it's still very much underserved. And we advise many insurance companies, and what is our current coverage right now? 1 in 10 Filipinos are insured. Do we have the numbers? Less than 10%. That's dismal. How many of you guys here have seen the show Scandal? Even more. So this is about the professionalization of risk issues and crisis. This is not about having affairs with presidents of countries, right? For those of you who've seen it. Risk issues and crisis, which has actually been pioneered by the insurance industry, is all about the science of managing and mitigating risks. Because risks are not negative, not necessarily negative. It's actually a neutral entity, and what we need to be able to do is manage it properly. Now, how many of you guys here have seen I Finally Found Someone? 3 people. Obviously, there are only 3 millennials in the audience. Thank you. So, 1, 2, and 3. This was a movie that marked the 20th anniversary of the now retired actor John Lloyd Cruz. And it was about a communications and a PR person. So when ABS-CBN decided, hey, you know what? We want to follow you for 4 weeks, I got excited because I thought, wow, I can come out as the lead, the female lead in movie. It turns out I was going to turn out to be the man. So, but I'm here today because of my capacity as FinTech Philippines Executive Director. So just to give you some slides about it. Next slide, please. Next, we can skip this. Our mission is to be of your potential clients. You have to touch base with them on the internet. Next slide, please. Now, next slide. Oh, I usually tell the awesome story of Angkas, but we thought that having Angkas here was going to be better. Next slide. Next slide.
But at the end of the day, guys, why do people use blockchain? There was someone who spoke about blockchain earlier. It's not about the paperlessness of experience. It's the fact that you can trust the person on the other end of the line, right? I'm so old school, other end of the line. Without having to go through multiple intermediaries, correct? So it's basically a public signal of trust on each other. Next slide. Now, guys, understand that they will only use you if they trust you. They'll only use you if they trust you. Anyone can come up with an app. It will not necessarily have the same kind of traction as, say, Netflix or maybe even Angkas, especially if you're not trusted. It's too bad that Angie didn't share what I thought was some of the most seminal engagement tools of Angkas. Have you seen their poster that said, "We're safer than a condom"? I'm sorry, am I allowed to say that? Is it anti-good governance rules? Angie said they have a track record of 99.97 safety record for those who have trained. A condom can only guarantee up to 99.9%. No, 99%. So it's up to you what to use, Angkas or condoms, right? But at least, Chairman Allen, I love the sense of humor of the team. Next slide. Even in the case, guys, of e-commerce, right? So traditional retail needs a lot of teching up. Like the big four of the Philippine e-commerce sites. Bulk of the traffic in the Philippines goes to us for e-commerce. And most of it is cash on delivery. So please do not use this as an excuse. We don't have credit cards, the penetration is so low. Guess what? Our industry in fintech, how about wallets? Have you guys heard of wallets? How many of you guys have downloaded, say for example, the Click app of 7-Eleven? Do you have it? Very good, right? How many of you guys have PayMaya or GCash or GrabPay? Even more, very good. That's an example of a wallet, right? So credit card penetration, they have gone down, but wallet penetration has been on the upswing. So you need to look at those metrics. Next slide.
Mr. De Makati said it.
And then of course, cash is king, but it still doesn't prevent them from going online and teching up.
So we're starting off.
Now, while there is a clear understanding internally to most corporations that trust is a priority, there seems to be a gap between expressing trust commercially and projecting trust societally. Next slide. And at the end of the day, when people usually use technology, their biggest challenge is all about, number one, the rust in the trust. Basically, you're moving large amounts of money. You may not trust the technology. I mean, I still have people here who use and issue checks. Oh my God. Next slide. To pay people, right? Checks. How inconvenient, right? Guys, do you know why not? I'll tell you why. Because the biggest, most vulnerable security measure is the use of your wet signature. Ang pinipirma nyo, ang dali-daling dayain niya. But, in the case, for example, of my app, people use, say, the Union Bank banking app. You have a two-pronged security system. You can either do PIN or you can do facial recognition, right? So, yes, why not? Because if I were going to use a check, someone can easily forge a wet signature over, say, facial recognition. More importantly, and this is something that I want to give you hope in the insurance industry. The Philippines, love or hate this government, has one of the most progressive policies with regards to technology and technological updates. The innovation bill has just been passed. Our work, we work a lot with the regulators, specifically with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. We were just there, I think last Monday, to work on an industry sandbox. Industry sandbox. Now, what is an industry sandbox? This is where if you as a company would like to play around with technology in an environment that's safe and inexpensive without having to be told you're doing the wrong things, you can play in a sandbox. Parang playground. Yan ang tinatawag namin sa technology. We hope to be able to do one with the insurance industry through PIRA. Next, very quickly. This is interesting. Do you know that people buy more anting-anting than they do insurance? No, seriously, this is a study. I'd like to acknowledge at this point the co-founder of Geyser Maclang, Brad Geyser, the real brains in the organization, and he's done a lot of seminal work in financial services, in e-wallets, and in insurance, and basically people look at insurance like they would an anting-anting. It's true, to protect them. But it seems like the people in Quiapo sell more insurance than you guys do. Next slide. So what can we do about it? Very quickly. Next slide. A lot of it has to do with engagement, right? Engagement. Angeline asked her questions about she's been able to engage what was otherwise a negative, initially negative regulator, and we don't blame the LTFRB or the LTO for it. It's because, unfortunately, they were dealing with laws that were more than 50 years old. Hindi na millennial yung laws. Imagine, when they refer to a two-wheel vehicle, they refer to a kalesa. How can you marry the idea of a kalesa and then the usage of apps? So think about it. When the government might seem too slow to you, it's because you are under-engaging them. The government is not in the business of being agile. They're in the business of making sure everyone is protected. So if you want to set the pace for the government, engage them and be the driver. Many of you here are the market leaders in your own specific industries. But the problem is, you are a market leader that does not necessarily act like a thought leader. But Chairman Allen, once you marry those two, thought leadership and market leadership, imagine what we can do together for the insurance industry in the country at large. Next slide, quickly. Oh, I inserted this slide when I saw my favorite reinsurer for cooperatives. Tayo naman po, Mr. Roy Miklat. Nasaan po si Mr. Roy Miklat ng CISP? Palakpakan po natin siya, he's there at the back. Imagine the idea of stacking up and bringing the technological mindset to areas that are on the fringe. And in this case, this was actually in the Bangsa Moro region. Learn to bridge trust. How many of you guys here have been to Hong Kong? Raise your hand. Hong Kong, come on. Singapore, keep your hands raised. How about Marawi? 1, 2. Shame on all 3. Thank you, Mr. Miklat. Everyone else, shame on all of you as Filipinos. You've been to Hong Kong, Singapore, and have not been to, say, Cotabato City. Do you know that there's such a big opportunity for insurance in those areas? The Muslim market. We were just recently with the FCO UK. This is a fund that gives grants, and this is something that I think PIRA might want to take advantage of. Mitch, it's about engaging the halal community. And the only way we can separate without intermingling of halal and haram funds is through blockchain technology. Next slide.
And also at the same time, our executive director.
I love this particular app. How many of you guys, when you were younger, had to do ballet?
The insurance
Ballet?
industry. We want you to
Utang. utang, right? Isn't that how you call it? Pa-advance naman, right? Kasi petsa de peligro. Of course, most of you don't worry about that anymore, but most of your employees do, right? Petsa de peligro. What technology has done, this particular fintech has worked with the HR so that your companies don't have to lend the money. It's a fintech that lends it for you, so you become a great employer. At the same time, you teach financial literacy and inclusion. You bear none of the risks. Shouldn't that excite you when I say things like that? Bear none of the risks. And still look good at the same time. So this is on-demand credit worthiness by working through HR. Last slide. And of course, when I agreed to lead FinTech Philippines, the first thing I did was I needed to invite this gentleman to be our chairman. And what Dr. Tito Ortiz of Union Bank has actually done for our industry, financial services in general, is just worth mentioning. He's our chairman for FinTech Philippines, and I would have to say a good part of why I'm in the financial services industry was because of his influence, right? We started with e-commerce, and now we're all about payments. And look at Dr. Ortiz. This was in New York. This was when the Project I2I platform was launched. Do you even see him wearing a suit? Chairman Ala, next conference natin, dapat naka-t-shirt na lahat. Buti na lang si Mr. Makati naka-sneakers, kahit Prada yung sneakers niya. Sneakers pa din, di ba? Sneakers pa din, right? Yan na yung uso. Now, the thing that you have to understand about Union Bank is that they started setting up the payments industry by creating a platform not just for themselves, but for the very challenged rural banking sector. Alam niyo naman po, nagsasana na yung mga rural banks right and left. Whether it's lack of clients, they're losing out to microfinancing, even if microfinancing is actually charging higher. Lack of trust, lack of regulation. So, last slide. At this point, it's all about partnering, and it's all about working together. So before I close and turn it over to Mr. Makati, I'd like to extend a hand to Chairman Alan, Edie, Mitch. Well done for putting together the insurance industry. Please consider us as your partner for teching up PIRA in the insurance industry, and let's work in teching up the country through insurance together. Thank you very much.
I say, wow, we all feel that we should have more of this conversation, and I would like to second that by offering IAP, the Institute of Insurance. We have a place where we can do a lot of this exchange, and let's work with you.
Let's do it. No, let's do it. Let's host the next mixer. When is the insurance month?
October.
Let's do it. We'll host it. We'll host it as FinTech Philippines with the support of PIRA and IAAP. Done. Consider it done.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then hopefully Grab can give free, Grab and Angkas can give free, Grab and Angkas. We will ask both Grab and Angkas to give free rides to our event, right? But if you want to look young and millennial, you ride Angkas.
Thank you again, and we have seen the thoughts, pioneering, daring, and let's open our mindset and let's understand how we can make that happen in our companies. Let me put the first question to Angkas. I notice your drivers, sometimes they pause and look at this smartphone, and we know the smartphone is difficult to read when you are out in the open sky, right? So is Grab, since you're part of Grab, going to do something about developing a phone that will be ideal for them from safety point of view? Because they're using Waze for that. So that's my question.
Okay, so there's you have to use the phone on the streets. I mean, we're looking at new ways of putting out the information there. So it could be the light of the screen, to make it brighter and things like that. Also putting maybe a earphone into one side of the ear. But these are features that are in development, and hopefully it'll be something that can be used down the road. Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because that's a concern of mine, because I watch them on the street, and I don't know with you, but me, when I drive, I don't use the driver on the street.
Yeah.
I have a technique, and that's I hug the white lane on the left, the white lane on the left, so that the motorcycles can pass properly on my right.
Yeah.
So I give them a better space,
Thank you.
because they will hit your rearview mirror. I mean, insurance, right? But more importantly, I don't want to cause harm to the passenger. So if you do that, you will leave space for them to ride on the right side. That's important, because we have to share the lane, because there are passengers.
So I mean, coexistence of four-wheel vehicles and two-wheel vehicles is very important to improving safety on the street as well.
So let me ask a question. You have the statistics, and some of our audience are interested. Do you have the statistics on gender? How many, are there more women riding the angkas, or more men, or do you have female drivers?
So we have about 10% of our drivers are female, and I would say about maybe 60% of our customers are female.
That's a big adoption. We noticed that actually, and it's a big adoption, because that means they have no fear. Unlike us men who have not taken the ride, we said, how do I balance with the motorcycle?
So actually, all the bikers are trained to teach you how to ride. They also have a safety card to give you tips on how to ride for the first time. But if I can share 3 of the top tips. Number 1, always wear your helmet. Strap it on, and it's 2 fingers tight. Okay, so this helmet is the number 1 safety equipment that you must wear properly on a bike, right? Number 2, when you're holding your driver, hold the driver by the waist and not by the shoulders. Reason being, the driver's driving with his arms, and if you get scared, you can cause the accident. And that's why we've also created special vests for our bikers to wear, where you can hold, there's actually handles on the vest. So some people are jahit,
Love
the drivers.
They're called love handles.
Love handles, well, call it what you want. But it's for you to hold the driver safely as well. So you can hold there, and number 3 tip is to lean with your biker. So always take your biker's lead, right? If you're turning left, the biker will lean left. Just don't over lean or don't counter lean. I know some people are like, oh, I'm gonna counterbalance, right? But that's not the right thing to do. You just follow what your biker's doing, and you'll be fine. And if you're free for the first time, I advise to take a short ride. And you can also tell your biker, don't ride too fast, don't go in EDSA. Yeah. Take the back street. So like when I ride, I don't like to ride at EDSA. So I tell the bikers, please take the back roads. I don't like to ride at EDSA. So depending on the time. So these are the little tips. So your driver is always there. He's well equipped to teach you how to ride at any point. So don't be afraid.
The next question is, thank you. Next question is for Amor. I noticed, I went to Google and looked at plug and play. I noticed that there is no plug and play yet in the Philippines, but there's in Malaysia, there's in Singapore. Is that going to happen here soon, where you can register and all these fintech verticals are operating?
Okay, actually what we're working on is something better, which is an API platform, right? I don't know if I should bore people what an API is, but basically an API is, if you're a business, consider it like the lock and key to your house. For people to be able to enter your house, they need to have a lock and key, right? Most businesses, their mindset is close the gate. In the case of an open API platform, we leave the door open so anyone can come in and play in our sandbox. I don't know if that kind of made sense. But basically, the more you share what your API is, the more other fintechs and the more other technology companies can experiment with you. without compromising your data. So all of a sudden, they can come up to you and say, Sir Alan, we already made an app for you. How did you do that? Well, your APIs are published. So there is now an attempt to collectivize all the APIs in the region. But I really don't want to bore them with that because it's at its nascent stage. But right now, the one key takeaway that you should have from this question is, please ask your companies, where is our API and can we make it public? Because the more people who can look at your API, the more people can use and create interventions for you for free.
But I guess firstly you have to digitize your
Yes.
information.
You have to
before
digitize your
create the
information.
API.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. When we say API, we mean Application Program Interface. It's a universal connectivity so that if anybody wants to interconnect with you, you just share them your API and they'll be able to connect. And you can transfer data and you can work together. And that's important because as we employ a lot of fintech, we partner with a lot of fintech, InsurTech companies, we don't want to change our back end. So we just open an API and we look for somebody to manage claim, we look for somebody to manage agents, sales, look for somebody to manage payment. That's what we do. Like ours, we have an API with Cebuana. There's some Cebuana people here. So all the Cebuana branches are connected to us via API. So you don't have to have this programming requirement.
Because I
And
think
all of us can do that. All our IT
Yes.
people can do that.
I think what's important is this one key takeaway. In an era of technology, there's no such thing as competitors. What do you do with your competitors? The philosophy should be co-opetition, working with your competitors. Because our pie is too small for us to be fighting over it. We gotta bake a bigger pie.
I'd like to get some questions from the audience. We have a two exciting presentation here on how to use technology and how to disrupt the transportation business, but how to create livelihood. I'm more interested in that. Because I know Grab is now in a big fight, Ebo and Gojek in Indonesia, they're a big fight on payment systems because that's going to be the next wave, right? We would like to be like China, where everything is, they don't use cash anymore. Even beggars use the QR code to get their alms. So we would like to go there, and BSP is sponsoring that, a cashless society. Not that they
Maybe
don't want to
cash
print it.
light.
Cash
We'll
light.
start with cash
Light.
light. Cash
And
light.
so
That's
this-
our advocacy,
yeah,
cash light.
Yeah, which is good, right? And so if we are all going to payment, and all of us, insurance companies, we still collect checks, by the way, because our customers pay by check. So there must be a better way.
Auto debit. Auto debit.
You will be surprised. You said trust, right? That's the most important component. So we will have to learn from you how do we evolve and quickly adapt and embrace this new technology.
Sir, if I may, it's not so much learning from us because we have so much to learn from you, the insurance industry, right? The precursor of my practice, which is risk management, is all about insurance. The philosophy is not so much, when we reach out to partner, it's not so much that you learn from us. We will learn from you. Let's co-create the solution together, right? So, yung October date natin, I will mark the calendar already for that.
That's good. Insurance week. We already have an activity.
No, consider it done.
Anything else? Any more questions on the floor? Can we read some of the questions from Facebook? At the back?
Can I actually take a stab at this particular question about your query on insuring on insurance online? Guys, the biggest competitors are really not going to be your other insurers beside you. The biggest competitors you're going to have are the internet companies. Do you know that Facebook has a banking license out of Ireland, right? Alipay is not a bank, it's not an insurance company, but they're going into your space. So you cannot just look at the people in this room as your competitors. You have to look and benchmark against technology companies in general?
I think, I mean, just one more thing. The internet is a really powerful tool to get information out there. And when I look up insurance online, for example, I'm trying to look for insurance for my mother-in-law who is above 65. You know, there's actually very little insurance information out there, or even when I'm trying to buy travel insurance, it's like you need to physically go down to buy travel insurance somewhere. I mean, then I'd rather buy an international one where, you know, you can just do it online. So I think more and more so, especially with the traffic, right, and people being so busy with their time, if you put a good site out there to talk about insurance, make it clear, make it understandable, put pricing out there, I think that's a big market that really you should look at doing. Because you have all the expertise, you understand the local issues, and you know what people are wondering. So, I mean, as an industry, perhaps put it out there and you know, list your partners. I think that's going to be something that would help increase insurance take-up rates to more than 10% in this country. Yeah.
That's a good feedback, actually. Just like as we move as an industry, we kind of like move one step at a time together. But you did mention that there are now foreign companies who are used to doing this online and used to doing it from the cloud, that they are already coming and applying for license. And as the Code Commissioner had mentioned this morning, they're already processing the license of these people who will be working from the cloud. And the big players, Alibaba, Amazon, they are all up there in the cloud, and they are going to be platform solutions. So anybody can just go up in the sky and sell insurance, and it will be easy because you don't need any computers down on the
Here's the
ground.
thing, Mr. Dimakali, they don't have the overhead of agents, right? They don't have the overhead of agents. I know that's a very touchy issue. And when it comes to technology, our philosophy in FinTech Philippines is no one gets left behind. So instead of, say, maybe selling, we can repurpose you to do more marketing, to do more community engagement, so you can still, at the end of the day, sell. But that's where the agility of many of these insurance companies overseas are coming in. Sing Life just got its license, and they claim to have claims zero agents, right? Or the onboarding process of Manulife and FWD, for example, are fully digital. You're probably wondering, how do we do this without breaking the bank? Because you've probably heard of how big an investment it was on the part of Union Bank to do it. First, let's do a hackathon for the industry together. If you'd like